Welcome to the week that was, TIOL's weekly news roundup. Today we have for you an insight into the current political divide in US over the appointment of the American Supreme Court Justice. There is news about policy in the making with the Apex Court's admonishment of RBI's ignorance of bad debts of banks and observation on design of aviation licenses.
There are stories about the pending relaxation in cabotage rules, SEBI action against tax evasion, budget expectations, besides news about some tax clarifications. But first, let's start with the international news on the crisis in American judiciary.
The death of America's Supreme Court Judge Mr. Antonin Scalia, 80, and a conservative at heart, has given rise to a political divide over the appointment of the replacement in the 9-member Supreme Court, even raising questions about whether an American president in the final year of his presidency may be allowed to nominate a replacement, or should the new appointment of a Supreme Court judge be done by the new president. This next appointment is critical because with the death of Mr. Scalia, the court is evenly balanced between 4 liberal and 4 conservative judges. The 9th new judge would be instrumental in dealing with major issues before America, like gun control, immigration reform, abortion, and climate change. Constitutionally, the incumbent president may nominate any individual as a Supreme Court judge. The nominated individual is questioned and interviewed by the Senate Judiciary Committee before confirmation by a majority vote in the United States Senate. A Supreme Court judge so appointed enjoys office during good behavior, meaning an indefinite tenure. As there is no retirement age, a vacancy cannot be predicted. Following this sudden vacancy, Democrats favor an immediate appointment as prescribed under the US Constitution, while Republicans, currently in majority in the Senate, have called on President Obama to refrain from choosing a successor. The president, however, is committed to fulfill his constitutional responsibility, stating that the American people deserve to have a fully functioning Supreme Court, which is important to democracy. To curb opposition in a hostile Senate dominated by the Republicans, President Obama needs to choose carefully. On top of his list of nominees is an Indian American, Chandigarh-born Mr. Sri Srinivasan, a moderate judge in the US Courts of Appeal for the District of Columbia Circuit, who enjoys support from Democrats as well as the Republicans. 2 other Indian origin Americans may also be on the list of potential candidates, namely Mr. Neil Katyal, who was acting Solicitor General of the US from May 2010 to June 2011, and California Attorney General Kamala Harris, who is also in the running for the US Senate seat in California. Will any of these Indian origin Americans make it? Now turning to the Indian judiciary, a High Court judge has created history of sorts.
Can a judge stay his own transfer order? Well, when Madras High Court Judge C.S. Karnan was transferred to the Calcutta High Court, he stayed his own transfer order passed by the Supreme Court Collegium. This open defiance left the Apex Court with no resort but to ask the High Court Chief Justice to either allot Justice Karnan special cases or none at all. Justice Karnan will have to go to the Calcutta High Court or face disciplinary action because even though the order issued by the Chief Justice of India gently recommends the transfer, it is mandatory. The incident brings out the flaws in the judicial system because this is not the first time Justice Karnan has been known to act errantly. As a sitting judge, he once entered the court where a division bench was hearing a petition on the selection of judges. Justice Karnan reportedly wanted to file an affidavit opposing the list of appointees as recommended by the Chief Justice of India. There could be a bonanza in store for foreign shipping companies.
The government is expected to completely relax cabotage rules, which will allow global shippers to sail into India's coast for transfer of goods within 2 points in the country. Currently, cargo and foreign ships are allowed only when no Indian flag vessel is available for the purpose. Hence, foreign vessels not allowed into India go to neighboring ports in Sri Lanka and Dubai, where an Indian ship connects to the foreign mothership. Relaxation of this rule will allow foreign flagged vessels to ferry on coastal routes, and India could well become a global transshipment hub. The final approval is expected from the PMO in the coming weeks.
The Supreme Court wants to clean up business and the aviation sector.
The Apex Court has come down heavily against public sector banks tolerating bad loans and airline companies not flying uneconomic air routes. The Supreme Court Chief Justice Mr. T.S. Thakur has directed the Reserve Bank of India to provide details of defaulters with outstanding loans of Rs 50 crore and more in the past 5 years. Taking cognizance that public sector banks were writing off loans and waiving interest payments while the government was permitting defaulters to restructure debt and continue to live a lavish lifestyle, the court turned on RBI, which is there to watch these banks. As RBI did not have the information on the biggest defaulters, it was directed to provide it in a sealed cover. In another case before the same bench, the Civil Aviation Ministry was charged with handing out lucrative routes to private airlines while ignoring the unviable air routes like Delhi-Shimla. Earlier, the Himachal Pradesh High Court had directed government-owned Air India to connect Delhi with the state capital Shimla. The Chief Justice considered this case in a larger perspective, observing that private airlines were making money on the lucrative routes but not fulfilling their obligation of flying the unviable routes, in which case their licenses could be cancelled. The Chief Justice sought the civil aviation license terms, stating that private airlines had to provide services in the neglected sectors. And if such a mandate to cover the unviable areas did not exist as part of their license terms, then the government must include it. The government has corrected its lapse on imposition of Swachh Bharat cess on exempted services.
The government has corrected its lapse while issuing a clarification on imposition of Swachh Bharat cess on exempted services. In November 2015, the government imposed a 0.5% Swachh Bharat cess on all taxable services. Later, it clarified that there would be no Swachh Bharat cess on services which are generally exempt from service tax under subsection 1 of section 93. It did not mention the other kind of exemption in service tax provided under exceptional circumstances like earthquakes and floods under section 93 too. This lapse now stands corrected. There will be no Swachh Bharat cess on services exempt from service tax under section 93(2) as well. Has the Swachh Bharat cess impacted the cleanliness of cities?
Which are the cleanest cities of India in 2016? This was the agenda of a survey called Swachh Sarvekshana, conducted in 73 cities with a population of more than 10 lakh, which ranked cities on availability of infrastructure and service levels related to sanitation, besides the treatment and disposal of municipal solid waste. The results of this survey were compared with the first survey of 476 cities conducted in 2014 before the launch of the Swachh Bharat mission. The latest survey of 2016 has declared Mysuru, Chandigarh and Tiruchirappalli as the cleanest cities of India, while Dhanbad, Varanasi, Ghaziabad and Meerut are the dirtiest cities. Ironically, Varanasi is the Prime Minister's constituency and its low cleanliness ranking was blamed on the local administration. Mysuru was ranked first as the cleanest city of India even in the earlier survey. A comparative analysis of survey data showed that 4 cities had become cleaner and improved their ranking to step into the top 10 clean cities. These cities were Visakhapatnam, Surat, Rajkot and Gangtok that were ranked in the top 10, pushing down Navi Mumbai, Chennai, Pune and Nashik, which used to be cleaner in 2014. Even Gurgaon improved its ranking from 65th to 36th, being among the top 10 gainers. Among the dirtiest cities that finished at the bottom of the survey were Kalyan, Dombivli, Jamshedpur, Raipur, Patna, Itanagar and Asansol. In fact, 7 out of the 10 dirtiest cities were in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Bihar and Chhattisgarh. The data shows which cities have to work the hardest in making Swachh Bharat a success.
Budget 2016 may well see a rise in tobacco tax.
The message is clear: tobacco kills. So either give up smoking or pay more for it in taxes and health costs. The Health Ministry has proposed a hike in taxes on tobacco products for Budget 2016-17, thus giving in to the demand of the World Health Organization. This is based on a study commissioned by the Health Ministry and WHO that showed a discrepancy between rising income levels and the existing prices of tobacco products. The study showed that prices of tobacco products in India had not increased substantially, thus making it cheaper than even essential food items. However, the study covered the period from 2006 to 2013 and did not take into account the substantially higher taxes imposed on cigarettes since 2014. Public health experts admit that taxation on tobacco products has improved and tobacco consumption has declined, but there is still a huge scope for increasing taxes. Tobacco use involves huge health costs which amounted to rupees 1 lakh crore in 2011. So raising taxes is one of the proven ways for a tobacco-free world.
On this note, we conclude this bulletin of the week that was. Thank you for watching.
You may write to us on editor@tiol.in. Have a wonderful weekend ahead.